back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions with the Washington Commanders. A Commanders team that, honestly, there's not much good things to say about them last year. They were pretty rough, especially past the month of November. Many thought that Sam Howell could be the potential guy at quarterback, but he wound up sticking out like a wounded lamb. I think was he the league leader in interceptions? He might have been. And as a result, we saw the end of the Ron Rivera era. And now Dan Quinn is taking over as head coach, and he has himself a nice, shiny young quarterback who we'll talk about later on in this video. And looking at last year's schedule, they went 4-13. Honestly, it's not good. And what makes this even worse, their only home win of the season was their first game of the year. Yeah, it was pretty bad for Washington. And after week 9, it just went up straight up losses. And some of them, like Dallas Cowboys and Miami Dolphins, it was no contest. Hopefully with Dan Quinn around, Washington can maybe become competitive again. You can only hope, right? But let's talk about what went right for Washington. And, well, I know moral victories don't count as victories, but they almost beat the Philadelphia Eagles, so, I mean, for them it should count for something, even though the Eagles will end up falling off a cliff. But one thing about Washington is they always played Philadelphia very strong. They just don't do it against, well, every other opponent. And new ownership. But the biggest highlight of them all, Dan Snyder's finally gone. They now have Josh Harris, I believe, is the new owner, alongside Magic Johnson. And for at least 1 month, the fans started coming back to Washington until everything fell to crap. But at least Dan Snyder is no longer owning this team. And then the third highlight of their season was the road victories over the Broncos, which they used a failed 2-point conversion on a Hail Mary. Falcons, which they used Desmond Ridder falling apart, and the Patriots, which used Mac Jones falling apart. But the fact that all 3 of those came on the road, that should count for something. But we do have lowlights, and how they ended the season on like a 7-game losing streak, it did not look good at all. In fact, it looked horrendous. And one of the reasons why they played bad was because the offensive line was not good. Their O-line was terrible last year. And as a result of all this, Ron Rivera, his time as Washington's coach came to an end. It was the point where someone said this best. His time just expired. And we all have an expiration date. His just met in 2023 as a head coach. Although he did say he was open to taking defensive coordinator jobs again. And now onto their additions and subtractions. And they were pretty active in free agents, adding Marcus Mariota from Philadelphia, Austin Eckler from the Chargers, Dorrance Armstrong and Tyler Biadasz from Dallas. That's where Dan Quinn came from, so it made sense. They added Frankie Louvu for Carolina. They also added, might as well throw Jeremy Chin in there. They also add Bobby Wagner, as he's reunited with Dan Quinn as head. Because how can I say this? Dan Quinn used to be his defensive coordinator from 2023 to 2024 before Dan left for Atlanta. And last but not least, they also added kicker Brandon McManus. But I don't know how long that will last given his he had some off the field issues when he was back in Jacksonville. And as now for who they lost, Jacoby Brissett, Antonio Gibson, they went to New England with the former reuniting with New England. Sam Howell's traded to Seattle, and Kendall Fuller, he's now gone. Can't remember where he went. And now on to the draft. And with the second overall pick, Washington took their quarterback of the future in Jaden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner of 2023. But outside of that, Washington actually had a pretty good draft. I love the Jazarian Newton pick, the defensive tackle from Illinois, because a lot of people had him in the first round. They also added a corner, Mike Sandstrill. They took care of a tight end, Ben Sinnott. Took an offensive tackle in Brandon Coleman. That's the only critique I have for the draft. Should have done a little more to address their offensive line. Because, again, it was terrible. But outside the draft, new quarterback, new coach. Hopefully that results in wins, right? Well, let's take a look.
Okay, Commanders, let's take a look at your schedule. And you're going to start your season off in Tampa Bay, taking on the Buccaneers, a Buc team that has made the playoffs the year prior. I have to roll Tampa to win the game. Then you have division rival New York Giants, a Giant team that I don't care what kind of team they have, they always find a way to beat them. Then it'll be a battle of LSU quarterbacks week 3. We take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Gotta roll with the Bengals here. But against the Arizona Cardinals, I have you winning on the road. This is where Jaden Daniels' first win will come against the Arizona Cardinals. Then week 5 we have the Cleveland Browns, and I'm actually going to roll the Browns to win that one. Week 6 is the Baltimore Ravens. I have the Ravens winning that. Then I have 2 straight losses. A home loss to the Panthers, shocker, and a home loss to the Bears. That game's going to be better than what people think. But against the New York Giants, I do have Washington winning on the road here. So right now, Washington is not doing their best on the road at all this year. But against the Steelers, I almost went with the Commanders to win. But I am going to have to roll with the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this one for now. And then week 11 against the Philadelphia Eagles. I have to go with the Eagles here. I almost went with Washington. And then Dallas, I have to pick Dallas to win that game. But the Titans, this is where number 3 will come for them. I think they will get a win over the Tennessee Titans for now. And then their bye week. This is where things get a little fun for them. I got the winning on the road against the New Orleans Saints. I don't think the Saints are all that this year. Got an upset win over the Eagles. Another home win against the Atlanta Falcons. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. Falcons on the road. Close the season on the road in the Dallas. Which your record 6-11, which I have Washington at, maybe less. But hey, this is a rebuilding Washington Commanders team. A 6-win season. Something that they'll 4-4 on the road is very impressive too. But anyway, that's how I think Washington's season is going to go. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Gamble safely, and I'll see you next time.